Sewing a facing is a great way of finishing the raw edge of the neckline on a garment. A facing is a narrow strip of fabric cut to the same shape as the curve of the neckline, stitched and then turned to the inside. First, sew your facing together at the shoulder seams. The outer edge of the facing needs to be finished to make it look a bit nicer and to prevent your fabric from fraying. You can finish this edge however you like, zigzag stitch, using a serger, or by turning the edge in 1/4 inch and stitching in place. Now pin the facing to the neckline right sides together, matching any notches. Once the pins are in place, sew along the edge using your normal seam allowance. Next, trim back seam allowance on the facing. This is called grading a seam and will reduce the amount of bulk in our seam allowance. Then clip into both layers of the seam allowance along the curve so that the facing will lay flat when turned in. Understitch the facing by pressing the seam allowance towards the facing and then stitching 1/8 inch from the seam. Turn the facing inside the garment, press, and anchor the facing at the shoulder seam. You can do this by hand or by stitching in the seam on the machine. And that's how you sew a neckline facing.